Hey guys, this is Caspi with Tape, and today you join me for episode 23 of Fall of Kerbin, and these are dark times for Cathenia indeed. There are 5 Kerolan tanks, 7 Kerolan conventional fighters, and a jet fighter occupying Cathenia's valley, and if we cannot take it back this turn, that goes to the Kerolans, and we are down to our last base to defend. So, we are sending out all the force we can marshal to try and defeat them. 1 strategic bomber loaded with 10,000 pounds of bombs and 2 50 caliber ball turrets, 2 jet fighters, and 1 conventional Sparrow fighter. And we're going to fly over there and we're going to take out those tanks. All we have to do to stop them keeping that base is to destroy all of the tanks. And that shouldn't be too hard with a big strategic bomber. But there are 7 fighters and a jet fighter over there for our little escort of just 2 jet fighters and 1 conventional fighter. It appears I did forget to change their name from Jet Fighter Proto. They're actually S-14X Mustangs, but hey, I forget things a lot. So yes, eventually we start to get into formation and head over there. The odds stacked against us. This is truly the last ride of the Spartans. Our 300 moment fighting out against the Kerolans. And now we have our nice formation closed. We've got the 2 jet fighters on our wingtips and the Sparrow just over there. And as the sun starts to go down, we fly past Springwood, looking over at what we are fighting this war for. Defending those people, those last free people in Cathenia. And then the sun really starts to go down, so this will take place at night. But night looks much nicer with the snow ground, actually. And that sun with Scatterer is looking rather beautiful, shrinking away behind those Cathenian mountains. Just this beautiful, it looks fantastic. But anyway, eventually we stop looking at the sunset and get over to Cathenia's valley. This is going to be the most important mission we have done in a long time. The enemy fighters are already dispatching, getting off the runway before we are even close. I'm going to release my fighters early to try and keep them away from the bomber, just try and engage them in a fight, but there are probably too many to even be distracted by so few escort fighters. But there they go, the 2 jets diving in, and the conventional fighter going by itself. I know that is only, it's not a jet fighter, it would be great to have 3 jets, but it has proved itself to be very maneuverable and quite deadly, and is loaded with 20 mils. Still, the jet fighters have 30 mils, which will probably do better, but I like the idea of having something that can fight for longer as well. I think a mix of 20s and 30s is probably the best. They're also now mounted more closely together. And yes, you can see now they're going in for the attack, breaking right. The jet fighters fly past, there's a gunfire coming at them. But then the conventional fighter lines up with the jet fighter, opens up with its 20 mils, and actually scores a hit. There's some explosions going off, but I think that's mostly just these tank shells. The enemy jet fighter still in the air, but has been damaged, which is quite nice. Good to see. We let up with our 50 cals. They're not particularly accurate unless something's right on our tail, but they will hopefully try and keep these enemies at bay, because we cannot be shot down, because this is a very expensive strategic bomber. You can only launch 1 of these per turn. This is all of my air launchers this turn. I could have launched a tactical bomber, but that wouldn't have carried enough bombs to destroy 5 tanks, I don't think. We have, of course, 10 1,000 pound bombs, hopefully enough to punch through even those heavy tanks. Might be a little overkill for the Nennias, but I'm not a particularly accurate bomber, as we know from the past, so I thought 2 each would be best. So we start to line up with the first tank. All of the tanks are pretty well bunched together, but they are next to buildings, so it will be harder to bomb, but hopefully we'll be able to get some bombs away. So we have dropped a couple of bombs there, and then we're going to start turning towards this one. Kind of by accident, I overrolled and couldn't really correct it, and then I kind of tilt down to try and get the bomb lined up, and then fail, and then kind of freak out like a moron and try and aim kind of almost in a dive with a strategic bomber, because there's fighters all around me. I'm freaking out. I want to get these bombs away as quickly as possible, and then I detonate my own aircraft. Like a moron, I fully accept that was the stupidest thing anyone's ever done. After dropping just 2 bombs, I destroy my strategic bomber, and now it is down to the jet fighters to hopefully strafe out these tanks. Yes, this has not gone to plan, but it is not over just because we destroyed our bomber. The debris will hail around, probably do no damage, but I am going to use these jet fighters to strafe, because we know they're incredibly effective at strafing, as we have seen from the Battle of Kursk last turn, where they did do some serious damage, and if I'd utilized them slightly better, I probably would have been able to do more. But the best thing is there are no AA defenses here. The fighters were all they had, so we can fly in as close as we want with pretty much no risk. And we start lighting up this Nania here, and it goes up in a gigantic explosion as we fly through gloriously. Surely we should be able to defeat them now. And then I realized my volume was way down, and turn it on. So yeah, volume, it's just because those propellers are so loud I'd had it way down. But now it's back and you'll be able to hear the explosions. So yes, first very successful strafing run. Hopefully no one will get on our tail as we try and do this. You can see there is gunfire coming in, but I'm moving very quickly, so I am quite a hard target to hit. But now we're vulnerable as we throttle down, but we are very close, so we shouldn't be strafing for too long. We open up on one tank, it goes up in a giant explosion, and then we open up on the second one with quick succession, that goes up too, and we pull out, and now there is only one tank left. 1 killed by bombs, 3 killed by this fighter. Now we've just got to angle ourselves in. We have a TE-10 on our tail right there, but we should be able to evade that with relative ease because, well, those Krolan pilots are so drunk on vodka anyway. But now we just dodge a shell, line up, I lose control of the aircraft and slam it kind of into the tank. Don't do any damage, but yes, I managed to crash a second aircraft because I know what I'm doing. But never mind, we still have one more jet fighter. We're looking at the tanks, most of them are pretty much destroyed, but that one we crashed into is alive. Now apparently my Sparrow was shot down at some point. You could actually see earlier in my first strafing run, we just take a hit to the engine there, but anyway, you can see earlier in my first strafing run, this jet fighter actually took down one of the TE-10s. I didn't mention it because I was talking about the strafing, but if you go back you can actually see while I'm strafing, one of the Krolan fighters gets shot down, which was a really awesome scene, so much was going on. But anyway, hopefully if I can avoid these fighters for long enough and stay away from the enemy jet, which is far away from me now, for now, I'll be able to get some shots off. Weirdly, there's a bunch of texture glitching where the enemy tank has been firing through a building and the texture's just stopped. So we've just got a bunch of rounds coming out of the building. I guess that's probably flares being like, help us, the Korolans are here, we know they're terrible people, all of them, just terrible. We just about dodged another tank round. It's getting pretty scary because these are like super high velocity 75mm shells, which isn't fantastic, but we are dodging them just about. And now we're going to line up again, turn the UI off because it's not going to help me at all because there's too much debris down there of my plane. And then I'm going to open up, another tank shell comes in, but we're lighting them up, you can see the explosions and it pops, but we're not done yet, we're going to continue to light these fuckers up. There you go, the tank looks totally destroyed from that level of explosions. So yes, there's nothing ruined, well, I wouldn't call that dead enough yet, so I'm going to go in for that too. Now, the tanks are dead now when they're missing a large chunk of armor. Before it was like if you killed the tank, but because of the new armor system, it's more about actually taking off a large piece of armor, and then the tank is officially dead. So that one tank down there probably does count as dead, that got hit by the bombs, but I'm going to go in and make sure anyway, because we don't want to accidentally leave a tank alive down here and not be able to take back the base. But it just splits apart very quickly and is surely dead. And I do go and check, and you will see the footage in a second. Well, in a while, and it is indeed dead. So yes, we have, despite all odds, despite all of my ineptitude, we have taken back Cathenia's Valley. But now there are still some fighters in the air, and I need to make my escape with this jet fighter. It would be nice to get this pilot out since he is such a glorious war hero. We try and fight some of these, but it's mostly just kind of like jousting at this point, which is not how you want to conduct a dogfight, so I decide to run. I do know the enemy jet fighter is still in the air, and it probably will catch up with me, and I may have to shoot it down, but for now we're okay. Taking a little bit of fire there, took one in the wing. We've taken a few shots in this, actually. And you can see the jet fighter is now on our tail, so we are going to have to start to evade. But this aircraft has performed incredibly well today, and just any time I've used it, pretty much only for strafing so far. But let's try out some air combat, because we have ourselves the enemy jet fighter on our tail. It will not leave us alone. It is roughly as fast as us, and you can see it is gaining on us quickly in this beautiful little chase. I pulled a bit of a split S to try and get behind him, and it indeed works. I'm now behind the enemy aircraft, activate mouse in flight mode, try and get on his tail and light him up, because it would be really nice to at least destroy one of these jet fighters. Two of the other fighters have been shot down. If you look through the various footage, you'll see it happen, but too many other things were happening for me to point them out, I'm sorry. But yes, we're behind them now, not managing to get a shot at this point, and because apparently I'm in a faster aircraft, I overtake him. But I pull down and we'll pull around, do a loop, come round behind him again and light him up because, well, we need this guy to die because it would be nice to have taken down as many fighters as we lost. Well, we lost a jet fighter and a normal fighter. It would be nice to have taken down more, you know, we've taken down 2 normal fighters, let's take down this jet fighter. So I come down on top of him, I'm going to get right behind him, mouse aim flight mod activated, lining the guns up, missing a little bit, but we're getting closer and closer, going to be in this jet stream soon. And if we just line up and get the shot, and there we go, the pop of the plane exploding. We fly through the debris and we'll watch him tumble into the ground while we make our escape. None of these other fighters will be able to keep pace with me, and I should be able to escape to Springwood freely. After a little bit of running, I'm sure. But yes, you can see it tumbling into the ground now. All the debris down there on the ground. And now it's just a matter of running. We pick up a couple of fighters, they are on our tail. I'm having to pull some slight evasive maneuvers, which does mean I'm not maintaining enough speed to actually get away, because these TE-10s are just ridiculously fast. They can pull about 200 meters per second. Now obviously this jet fighter can get up to almost supersonic, so it's not a problem. That hit on our wing there wobbled the aircraft a bunch, but nothing to worry about. This aircraft has been shot a few times, but it is holding up pretty well. But yes, as I said, they won't be able to match my speed. I'm now over 250 meters per second and escaping. And if we just keep running this way, you can see the tanks dropping off now. And eventually they start to unload as I escape to 25 kilometers, because we are in a far superior, much faster aircraft. Superior to all of their aircraft. I mean, just fucked up one of their jets. Although in fairness, it was damaged earlier, so who knows. Anyway, the last of the enemy planes unloads, and no doubt they will run back to Valley's Guard, which is actually our base as well. But yes, Cathenia's Valley is ours now. The rules state that you have to remove the tanks, and oh, hey Springwood, didn't see you there. Let's go land. But yes, rather glorious day. I made a lot of mistakes, but I seem to do quite well when my back's against the wall. Penguin is the grand planner. I am the freak out and kill everything. I'm probably the... It's actually interesting because he's kind of like Gustavo Fring, who has this grand plan. I'm a little bit like Walter White, who just kind of acts really well under pressure, except, you know, not a genius, and he probably doesn't fuck up quite as much. Anyway, that was what I was thinking as I was landing, like, yeah, I'm totally Walter White, kind of, not at all, but the kind of planning methods kind of make sense. Anyway, over at Osiris Fortress, the USS Thor has finally slipped below the waves. Yes, it took a massive battering of torpedoes last turn and finally slipped below. Horrible loss, but we will be replacing this with, well, actually we won't be replacing this, we will be deploying our final ship before the Cruolans invade. And what are we deploying? Well, we're deploying the USS Valhalla, an Odin-class battleship. It is a super battleship to match Penguin's Yamato, or whatever. You can see it there. It is based on the Iowa class. It has 10 5-inch guns, 9 16-inch guns, which are on par with the 18 inches on Penguin's super battleship, and a whole shit ton of 40mm AA, and you can see it here now. This will be the final stand for Osiris Fortress. We've got a lot of ships here. We've been taking a lot of carrier attrition. There's not a lot we can do about that. Our Air Force has been tied up defending our land, not our ocean. But hopefully this super battleship will give us some kind of chance of defending Osiris Fortress, because we have already lost Asia's front. This is our last naval base, and if we lose this naval base, if we lose Osiris Fortress, the naval war is over, and there is little chance of redemption. The chances are not good, but hopefully we can hold out. Anyway, I do actually start going for a little bit of sub-hunting, because there is still a submarine over there, but actually I do catch a glimpse of something on the horizon. You probably can't see it, because it's at a lower resolution on YouTube, but what I see here is it's actually surfaced, and I pulled up HyperEdit just to sync it again, so I could actually hunt it, but the cockpit's come off, so I can't actually sync it, which is annoying. So I think what happened here is maybe it slammed into the bottom of the ocean, or something like that. I don't know, so I can't really hunt this. I'll probably just shoot it with a naval gun before the turn is before I hand the turn over to Penguin. But yes, anyway, let's forget about the naval horribleness for a while and move over to our greatest victory today, Cathenia's Valley. You can see this adder here has been eviscerated. This next adder has had a massive chunk of armor ripped off the back and has had its crew killed. This is definitely dead. It is severely damaged in the back. And then I guess the next one is also an adder. Is that an adder? I can't see. Oh no, it's an Aeneer. Now this actually doesn't look too damaged because I think that panel on top is glitched out. But you can see we've ripped off almost all of the side armor. We've ripped off the underneath armor. We've killed everyone inside, and we've destroyed a bunch of the front armor. This truly is destroyed. Despite it looking okay from the top, because that I think must have glitched out that piece of armor on the top. But yes, so that is another one down. We are just ensuring that we have indeed won this. You can see this has just been eviscerated except for a tiny bit of frontal armor. And the final one, yeah, this one was, that's quite dead. And then you can see the two planes that got shot down. The jet mysteriously disappeared. I guess it's just exploded. But anyway, now it's time to deploy our tanks. We're deploying 3 medium tanks today. These are some C3 Cerberuses, and they are loosely based on the Shermans. They're using a Sherman Firefly turret, which is a high-velocity 76mm turret, which can dole out a pretty serious punch. We'll be able to get through heavy armor and hopefully stop anything that Penguin can send at us. Obviously, it is armored with a medium hull, not a heavy hull, like our heavy tanks, but we do get 3 of them, so I'm thinking this is probably the best way to do it. We've kind of scattered them around to try and make them hard to bomb out, because we can't deploy any AA this turn, because we don't have any supply units to spare, but yeah, I'm quite liking these tanks actually. They're pretty durable, they're pretty good in battle, they do have fairly light armor, but yeah, and this one is the lead. To make it up to 22 points, this one carries a 50 cal on top. They all have 30 caliber turrets as well, but this has an extra 50 cal for, I guess, pseudo air defense and maybe cleaning up half-dead tanks or something like that. But yeah, these are my medium tanks. They are using the high-velocity gun. I'll probably keep, if I need a low-velocity tank, I'll probably keep deploying Centaurs, actually, because the Centaurs have proved themselves over and over again to be massively effective. And I'm kind of partial to them now, as ugly as they are. But yeah, these tanks hopefully will be defending Cathenia's Valley. And over at Springwood, we are deploying ourselves a rocket interceptor with our supply unit this turn, and we've got our jet here. So if Penguin flies a bomber over here, that rocket interceptor will hopefully shoot him down. It is now armed with 30mm guns instead of 20mm guns, which hopefully will be more than enough to destroy a bomber, because the bomber was fine last time because it was only hit with 20 mils, but the 30 mils should do more than enough, and the jet will be there to deal with any fighter escort and maybe catch up to the bomber itself as well, because this city is in ruins but not yet dead. But if we do lose this city, we get no more supply units, so no more jets, no more rocket interceptors, no more repairing, no more forward operating bases. The only way I'd be able to get more supply units, I guess, would be to go and take one of Penguin's cities, but given that I'm maybe about to lose the Asia's Ocean and definitely couldn't get anything across the island chain, that would be quite difficult. So yes, hopefully we will be able to defend this city, because it's all we got. We're in a pretty bad situation right now. And I'm just sending up the 2 Centaurs from Rockdale, the now destroyed Rockdale. They're going to go up to Cathenia's Valley. I thought they'd be able to get up here this turn to help defeat those tanks, but I underestimated the distance. But yes, they should be up at Cathenia's Valley fairly soon to help with the defense. They'll be next to the C3 Cerberuses. But anyway, that is the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know it's been a while since the last one, but it turns out me and Penguin have very busy summers, Penguin especially. It might be a while till his episode, I know he's on holiday, and then I imagine it'll be a while until my episode as well, because I'm going home for a week, but it shouldn't be a month again. But you know how summer is. But anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope you haven't lost total faith. We've had a bit of a pushback today, but it's still looking pretty dark. Penguin's turn will be the invasion of Osiris Fortress, which I am not looking forward to. And yes. But anyway, like I said, I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been episode 23 of Fall of Kerbin. I will see you next time.